From fan games, animations, art, and even modding, the Sonic the Hedgehog community is some of the most talented motherfuckers you will ever meet in your entire life. And while all of those things that I've listed have had some tremendous work done for them, the one thing that has always struck really close to home for me is modding. Now, the reason you fell in love with Sonic the Hedgehog might be different than mine, as you might have fell in love with the comics, the shows, or even if you're a newer fan, potentially the movies. But for me personally, the biggest thing about Sonic that I've always absolutely loved has been the games. And modding has really helped the replayability of each Sonic game, as it seems like every Sonic game that releases today has a bunch of modding added to it. But my love for modding Sonic games actually came with the original PC release of Sonic Generations. And this is genuinely when modding really took off for the series, as modders like Daku Neku, Ultimate Darkman, and Joe TE Strikes Back were really the OG creators that made me absolutely fall in love with being able to mod my favorite characters or play different stages inside of the game. And now I know that there are hundreds of modders out there that have modded Sonic Generations. It is the most modded Sonic game out there. Those are just the three that I really remember as a kid. But now with the re-release of Sonic Generations Remaster adding Shadow Generations, we absolutely knew that a bunch of modding was going to be coming to Shadow Generations. And of course, the Sonic community fails to disappoint, as there has already been a crap ton of modding that has been done to this game in just 6 short months. And of course, one of the biggest things that is always modded in any of those Sonic games is character mods. Either changing the look of the main character of Sonic or Shadow, or potentially even adding another character from the series and giving them their own animations or potentially different movesets. It genuinely makes you feel like you're playing an entirely different game and makes you want to run through the game again with that modded character. So within this video, I'm going to be ranking my top 10 character mods inside of Shadow Generations. So with that being said, let's get into my ranking of the top 10 character mods in Shadow Generations. Before starting off this list, I did want to say that a lot of these mods are still work in progress and aren't nearly close to done. As on Game Banana, a lot of the developers of these mods have stated that they still have a lot of work to be done and have a lot of plans for each of these character mods. So keep in mind, by the time that you might be seeing this video, this mod might have already been a lot further beyond what it is in this video. So keep in mind, if you see a mod that you end up really liking, it actually might be further on development as you're seeing this video, so go ahead and check it out. And also, I'm going to go ahead and put 3 honorary mentions inside of this video before getting to the top 10, as I think these 3 mods are amazing but didn't quite make my list. The first one that I actually want to talk about is going to be CGI 2005 Shadow. This mod is a huge inspiration from the CGI cutscenes from the Shadow the Hedgehog game, and it's pretty scary close to how it actually looks inside of those cutscenes. This mod actually just came out a few days ago from me recording this video, so I haven't had a bunch of time to be using this mod, but I genuinely wanted to put it inside of my honorary mentions as it looks amazing. Ultimately, it obviously isn't that different, as the CGI cutscenes at the end of the day are still Shadow, but it's still pretty impressive how close he got it to look to those cutscenes. The one thing I'd potentially like to see the modder add into this mod is potentially adding a Jason Griffith option to the mod, as this is obviously from that era, and obviously Jason was voicing the character at that time. But honestly, this looks amazing and genuinely is such a creative and good idea to add in as a character mod for Shadow Generations, so shout out to the creator for that. Next mod is going to be Blaze the Cat. You can really tell that there's a lot of time, work, and effort put into this mod, and it really shows. This mod not only has a bunch of little details like adding purple to everything instead of having it as black and red, changing the little icon on the map, but also a whole new running animation, and a bunch of different skins that allow you to change Blaze's shoes or even her appearance, with having the options to be able to use her standard shoes, soap shoes, or even Shadow-inspired shoes. And there's even an option to change her entire skin to look exactly like Burning Blaze. And even for her Terios skin, they ended up deciding to change this to Cinder, which I believe is inspired off of this concept art of Blaze. And not only that, they decided to completely change the Mephiles fight as well, where we can see more of a Mephiles-inspired Blaze. And this genuinely actually looks really cool, and it's just a really cool detail that the modder decided to put inside of this mod. And on top of all of that, the model just genuinely looks really good and honestly just looks like a official Blaze. It's actually really impressive how good Blaze looks inside of this mod, and it is a great mod to be using. And while all of those things are amazing, there is one thing that I would say that I don't absolutely love about this mod, and that's the voice acting. While I think it is totally fine to have custom voice acting for your mod, and genuinely you can make your mod any way that you would like to, I would have personally preferred if they took voice clips potentially from Sonic 06, Sonic Rush, or anywhere that Blaze has appeared before. But instead they decided to use a custom voice actor, and it doesn't sound amazing or a lot like Blaze. Like I said, it's totally fine to be using your own custom voice actor, and I have no problem with that. But I will say that the mic quality that they decided to use for each of these characters is not the best, and is kind of hard to get past that when playing the mod. I wish there was either an option to potentially turn off the voice acting or give an official Blaze voice onto it, but at the end of the day, if this is how the modder would like it to be, then so be it, and that's totally fine. In any case, the rest of the mod is absolutely incredible, and I definitely suggest using this. And in case you're wondering what that voice acting does sound like, here is a clip of the Mephiles fight.
Want to exist.
There is no future for you. Ever.
And my last honorary mention is going to be Amy. For the most part, this mod is just a simple character swap, and there isn't any unique animations, alternate skins, or voice acting added to it or anything. While this mod does look incredible, I do kind of wish that it did have some of those features, but at the end of the day, this mod looks incredible, and if you're looking for an Amy mod, this is the perfect one to be using, as it looks great. And now to our top 10 list, and kicking things off is going to be Sir Lancelot. Now, there are a few different mods for Lancelot, and all of them do look great, but personally, this has been my absolute favorite made by these creators, and that's Sir Lancelot Reborn. The incredible detail that has been put inside of this mod is actually incredible. This genuinely looks like an official skin inside of the game. Honestly, without knowing that this is a mod, if you would have told me that this was a skin that Sega decided to add into the game, I think I genuinely would have believed you with how good this actually looks. The detail genuinely even looks better than the original game that he's from in Sonic and the Black Knight. And they even give you the option side of the config to be able to change his boost and whether you'd like him to be skating or flying in his boost animation. The more and more I actually looked at this mod, I genuinely really loved it. The two things that I would like to potentially see them add is an option for him to actually be holding his sword, as Lancelot's sword is genuinely really cool looking, and again, potentially even adding Jason Griffith voice lines from Sonic and the Black Knight from this, as Shadow or Sir Lancelot is the coolest knight of the Round Table in that entire game in my opinion. And if you're a big fan of that game and just are looking for one that has a bunch of really good detail and really looks official, this is definitely the mod that you need to be checking out. And number 9 is going to be Metal Shadow. And no, I don't mean that Metal Shadow. This is a custom mod made by a creator that decided to give Shadow a look as if he was inside of a metal band. I absolutely love the creativity that has been done inside of this mod, and I genuinely love using this mod. I've gone back to use it so many times now. From the really cool earrings on his ear, the painted eyelids, the spikes around his wrist, and to the clothes that genuinely look badass but are also customizable, this mod is awesome. Because this mod has the option to be able to configure an absolute crap ton of different shirts that they decided to include inside of this mod. From different metal bands to even Sonic inspired shirts, this mod really has it all. And like I said, I absolutely love just the creativity behind this mod. I love that they decided to include Magnify and also Crush 40 and also a personal favorite mine in Linkin Park inside of the shirts. And honestly, it's just the perfect mod to finally embrace just how much of an edgelord Shadow is. Next up at number 8 is going to be Sonic. I know, pretty ironic that this is finally the first game that we've gotten without Sonic being involved as a playable character, and yet we're modding him into the game. But genuinely, this mod is really impressive. The model genuinely looks really good for Sonic, as you do have a choice to download either his Forces model or his Unleashed model. And of course, I went for the Unleashed model, as I think that's the best Sonic has ever looked. And I feel like that's just somehow rage bait for somebody in the comments. But anyway, his running animation does look really good. I will say that it does look a little bit goofy when he's first starting to run, as it kind of just looks like he's running in place. As it takes a little bit for Shadow to kind of get going in his running animation when he's skating, and I get that they're trying to work around that with this. When he actually starts to get going or is boosting, it actually looks really good for a running animation for Sonic. This mod is still a pretty big work in progress, so there isn't any voice acting inside of this, as it does just have Shadow's original lines, which is a little bit weird using Sonic while having Shadow talk. But honestly, the coolest part of this entire mod is actually the way that they decided to change all the Doom powers. Because not only did he decide to change the Doom wings with making him more blue to match Sonic, but he also decided to change Doom Morph to look like a Wisp, and my personal favorite, changing Doom Surf to his extreme gearboard. That genuinely looks really impressive and is one of the coolest things that any modder has done inside of this game yet. Just having Sonic hop on his extreme geared for Doom Surf just makes me want to jump in the water every single time I'm using this mod. There's definitely a lot of things that could potentially be added to this mod, with adding potentially more models for Sonic, soap shoes, or potentially even adding a voice acting option of any of Sonic's voice actors. But like I said, this mod is still a pretty big work in progress, but is genuinely a really solid mod. And number 7 being on the list for just how goddamn creative it is Minecraft Shadow. This mod not only looks like Shadow is completely ripped out from his Minecraft model of being an add-on to the game, but has his own jump ball animation to look like a block from Minecraft. But also, just like the Sonic mod, decides to change the Doom powers to match the Minecraft style. Because in Doom Surf, they give Shadow a boat from Minecraft, which looks incredible and actually looks really impressive. But you also have Doom Morph turning him into a glow squid from Minecraft, which is quite an interesting choice, but looks really good. And you also have the Doom Wings turning into a Lytra from Minecraft. This mod is genuinely just so much to fun around and explore all this mod has to offer, and generally just looks really good, and honestly is the most creative mod out of this entire list in my opinion. The modder went above and beyond and definitely added things like the Doom powers that he definitely did not need to add at all. But yet I am so glad that he did, and it's 100% the reason on why this is on this list is just how much effort, creativity went into this mod. And number 6 is going to be my personal favorite villain in Mephiles the Dark. You can notice right off the bat as soon as you launch into the game with this mod, just how menacing the standing animation looks. Being able to capture just how menacing Mephiles is just by using this standing animation is incredible. Not only that, it looks super well done with the model, and you can even see at the end of his quills it's actually glowing. He also has the levitating boost animation, which makes him look great when he's actually going through stages and boss fights. But speaking of boss fights, there's actually an infinite themed boss fight inside of this mod as well, that actually has exclusive voice clips to Infinite. The Infinite boss fight is still a huge work in progress and is still something that they're working on completing, but just getting a glimpse of it, you can already tell that it's going to be amazing. They also went ahead and added voice clips from Robbie Draymond from Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is great to see. I wouldn't mind seeing an option to add Dan Green voice lines inside of this mod, but Robbie does such an amazing job, and it's really great to hear his voice more inside of this game. There's also a super cool Easter egg inside of the Doom wings where they go ahead and change them into Solaris's wings from Sonic 06. Being that Mephiles is actually one half of Solaris, the sun god, this is such a really cool touch to be able to add as one of his Doom powers. But like I said, this is a huge work in progress, and there's a bunch of to-do stuff on Game Banana that says that the modder is going to be completing soon. It looks like he has a lot of stuff with completing the voice lines for cutscenes, making Terio's skin the shadow version of Mephiles, and much more planned for this, and I can't wait to see what this mod fully becomes in the future. But with all that being said, even for what it is now, this mod is still incredible, and I love using this mod for Mephiles. Next up at number 5 is going to be another Sonic mod in Supersonic. The really incredible thing about this is this has 3 different design options and 3 different physics that you can use inside of this mod. The incredible skins that they decided to add is actually going to be the normal base Supersonic that we're used to. They also went ahead and added adventure style Supersonic with having soap shoes and his different styled quills, which in my opinion is the best that Supersonic has ever looked. And they even have a version of Hypersonic that looks incredible with a rainbow aura around him. And generally all of the auras around each of these skins look so good and really makes you feel like you're using a super character, and this mod does an amazing job at capturing that. This mod does still need a decent amount of work, as there are some times that the animations do look a little bit weird on the character, and it still doesn't have any voice acting or anything like that at all, but it still works really well, and I'm sure that this again is a work in progress. But even that being said, everything about this mod is so much fun to use. I mentioned the physics, and a lot of the different physics that you have are just going to be the normal physics. The second option is going to be the super physics, which is going to allow you to go faster and also be able to fly as high as you want in the sky while boosting. Or you have the hyper physics, which is even faster and allows you to basically fly forever as your boost never runs out. It really makes you feel like you're playing a different game at times with having these physics turned on, and it actually makes the game a lot of fun just seeing how broken this design of the character can be, as they really designed him just to be insanely fast and broken, and I absolutely love that. But I also love that they gave it the option that you can turn all this stuff off if you're more of just looking to add just the character model to the game. An interesting touch that they decided to add actually with this mod as well is just basically removing the Doom powers. And what I mean by that is when you're Doom surfing, you actually don't spawn the Doom surf. Sonic just kind of levitates over the water like he would as Super Sonic. Or even the Doom wings, they just never appear and he ends up just kind of flying around, which makes sense for Super Sonic. This mod is super impressive and it looks so goddamn good, and it's really a big kudos to the mod creator and how well he made Super Sonic look inside of this. And I can't wait to see what he potentially adds for the future inside of this mod. But that brings up number 4 in Metal Sonic. This mod, again, like the other ones, have a really good model, but something does look a little off about it. I don't know exactly if he made this as a custom model or if he ended up ripping it from another game, but something just looks a little bit different about Metal Sonic, but it still genuinely looks really impressive, and is genuinely everything you would want from a Metal Sonic mod. Having the glowing eyes, the more metallic look to him looks really impressive. And not only that, you have a bunch of skins that you're able to choose from inside of this mod that you're able to configure inside of the Hedgehog mod manager. And those options consume of your base Metal Sonic 3.0 from Sonic Rivals, the SA2 version of Metal Sonic, which looks a little goofy, but you can tell this is just a straight up rip from the Adventure 2 games, but it's a really cool option to have. And you also have Emperor Metallics, which is actually a pretty deep cut that some Sonic fans might not even know who he is from the Archie comics. And I love that they decided to include something like this. And while this character mod decided to not add any voice acting clips, he actually decided to disable Shadow's voice and add the boosting sound effect from the adventure games. Here's what that sounds like. You would actually start to think that this might start to be annoying considering that this starts every time that you boost. But playing the mod more and more, it actually kind of started to annoy me less, and I thought it was a really cool add-on and Easter egg inside of the mod. You could have definitely added stuff like Neo Metal Sonic's voice lines from Sonic Heroes, but I think that'd be potentially a cool skin or a different mod by the creator in the future. The Doom powers haven't been changed at all for this, but I think it could potentially be something that he decides to add later on, as I think that would be a really cool option for this mod. To make the Doom wings look a little bit more metallic looking or more metal looking, or even the same thing with Doom Surf or Doom Morph. While that's a pretty big ask, and I know that would be a lot of designing, and that stuff definitely is not easy to do, I think it would still be a cool thing if the modder ever wanted to include something like that. But in general, this mod is incredible, and if you're a big Metal Sonic fan, this is the perfect mod for you in Shadow Generations. Number 3 is going to be Silver. Again, another really solid mod. You can tell a lot of work went into this mod right here. Similar to the Blaze mod that we talked about earlier, the interface has completely changed its color to match more of Silver's psychokinesic powers, and even changing the moving icon on the map to be silver. But the model itself actually looks extremely impressive, and it really looks like Silver is added into the game. But not only did they add Silver, they added a bunch load of skins. They give you the option to use base Silver, Silver from Sonic Forces, Rider Silver adding his gear and Extreme Gearboard over Doom Surf. They even give you an option to put Silver's gloves and shoes on Shadow, Silver's doppelganger from Sonic and the Black Knight and Sir Galahad, Lantern Silver from Sonic Forces Speed Battle, Super Silver, Silver from Smash Bros. Brawl, which is pretty cursed looking, Race Suit Silver from Sonic Rivals, or you might know this from the Archie comics, or Sonic Speed Simulator. You also have a darker looking Silver that's named Ghost Silver, and the futuristic looking Tech Knight Silver from Sonic Forces Speed Battle. And the last two are super cool additions for skin, as they decided to add Venice over the Terrio skin inside of the game, which is Silver's concept art from Sonic 06. And the creator even decided to give Silver a movie skin that goes ahead and gives us an idea of what potentially movie Silver could look like in the future. Again, just something that the modder didn't have to do at all, but it genuinely looks really impressive and is a really cool thing that they decided to add, where it really makes you feel like you're playing Silver throughout the entire game if you want to. Silver also has his own running animation, and it even looks like when he's turning, it almost looks like he's using the Unleashed Drift animation, which actually ends up working really well for Silver. There isn't any change to the Doom powers or anything like that like some of the other mods, besides Doom Surf inside of Rider Silver, but I would say my only true complaint with this mod is somewhat of the voice acting is a bit weird, as most of the voice clips that are actually from Pete Capella and his Sonic 06 voice lines, which in my opinion is the best Silver voice actor there is. But what's really odd is there are some moments inside of the mod where Bryce Papenbrook actually pops up, as sometimes it kind of gets stuck in between the two and it sounds a bit weird. I don't know if this is a mistake that was done by the mod or if they were just trying to be more authentic in finding real clips of what Silver would actually sound like if he was a DLC character inside the game. But ultimately, that's a really nitpicky complaint about the mod. Everything about this mod is incredible and is genuinely one of my favorite mods to use. And as a Silver fanboy, I absolutely adore this. And next up at number 2 is going to be Super Shadow. This is actually made by the same creator that went ahead and made the Supersonic mod that was listed at number 5 on the list. So similar to the Sonic mod, it is a super well looking model and it genuinely feels like you're actually using the super version of Shadow in the game. With having an awesome glowing outline that really makes you feel like you're using Super Shadow, custom animations to make it look more like Shadow is flying when he's running, and exactly how the Supersonic mod has different physics that you can use. Instead of using the standard Shadow that we know in Shadow Generations, you can bump it up to the super physics, which allows Shadow to fly with his boost gauge and also be a lot faster inside of the stages, which really makes you feel like you're going to be playing a different game with the Super Shadow mod. The modder also decided to go ahead and redesign all the Doom powers for Shadow as well, as it makes it more of a white and gold color to match Super Shadow's design, which is a really cool detail done by the modder. But in general, this mod just feels fantastic, with not only the really cool looking model and custom outlines and animations, but also the insane power of having the super physics that really makes you just blast through stages and kind of makes you feel like you can just break the stage with just being able to fly anywhere that you want. And using this mod for the final boss fight against Neo Devil Doom just kind of feels right. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved the Doom Wings and everything that they were in Shadow Generations, but using Super Shadow inside of this boss fight just feels like this was how it was meant to be played. It feels so damn good to be using Super Shadow again, and genuinely is such an amazing mod, and super big kudos to the mod creator for not only Super Shadow but also the Supersonic mod, as they have been really putting in some awesome work inside of those mods. And lastly, at number 1 is going to be Rouge. Now, I know I've talked a lot about how crazy people are within the Sonic community and just how much amazing work that they have really done inside of each of these games that have come out that have mods inside of them. But the creators behind this Rouge mod absolutely went insane. They went completely all out for this Rouge mod, and it is absolutely insanity how much work has been put inside of this single character mod. This mod has not only gotten a bunch of updates, but genuinely looks really impressive and has a bunch load of configurations to be able to pick your perfect Rouge inside of this game. And some of those configuration options consist of Rouge's physics, which allows you to turn on and off the different animations inside of the mod. And those animations are absolutely incredible, such as having different animations for the likes of the slide, stomp, and homing attack, as they went ahead and made whole-on animations that are different from Shadow to match more of Rouge's moveset, which is absolutely insane to add, and definitely something they did not have to do, but it makes the mod just so much better. Like, even when you're running and doing all this stuff, Rouge's wings are also moving. And she also has different Doom powers that match more of her color scheme. But the really cool thing about the powers is actually going to be the Doom Spears, as when Rouge actually shoots them off, they're actually the bombs that she ends up throwing in many of her games, which is a super cool detail, and you can almost miss this if you don't look close enough. You can even change the song that Rouge uses when using Chaos Control, with some of those options being Fly in the Freedom from Sonic Adventure 2 being her very own theme, Club Rouge from Sonic Battle, or even her theme from Sonic X in the English for Kids version or the Tokyo Japanese version. You can even choose between her voice actors if you prefer more of the Adventure 2 or Heroes in Lonnie Manella, there's an option for you, or if you prefer more of the Kathleen Delaney from Sonic X and Sonic 06, you can go ahead and choose that option as well. That's such a cool option that they decided to go ahead and add 2 whole voice actors inside of just one mod. Like I've been saying before in other mods that don't have voice acting quite yet, I've been wanting to see more voice acting added to those mods. This one not only has 1 completely done, but 2. That's absolutely incredible. But not only that, this mod goes absolutely insane with having 19 different skins to choose from. Yeah, you heard me correctly, 19. Some skins don't even have a second option. This one has 19, are you kidding me? If none of these mods have screamed hard work and effort put into their mods, this one for sure has with just that alone, alongside all the other things that I just listed. And those mods consist of standard Rouge the Bat from the original Sonic Generations, her Generations look with more of a Shadow the Hedgehog 2005 recolor, her Adventure 2 look, her Riders look, the Witch skin, which I believe is from Sonic Speed Simulator, but somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments for that, her Heroes look, a Christmas theme holiday skin, Metal Rouge the Bat, fake Metal Rouge the Bat from Sonic Heroes, her Dream Team look, Elite Agent Rouge the Bat, Knight Rouge the Bat, which is an inspiration from Sonic and the Black Knight. Even though Rouge never had a character in this, it looks like they decided to make their own custom version, which is awesome. Sonic Prime, Rebel from Sonic Prime, Rockstar, Ninja from Sonic X, her Shadow the Hedgehog 2005 look, and a Summer and Valentine look. That is just absolutely insane that they have added that many skins to one mod. Like, honestly, just a round of applause for just how amazing that is and just how much work and effort went into this. And this without a doubt for just how much work, effort, passion, how good the mod looks, having different options for the voice acting, music, physics. And just like we said with all of those skins, this absolutely is 100%, in my opinion, the best mod to be using in Shadow Generations for a character mod. This has everything you would ever want from a Rouge mod and genuinely looks so impressive. And if you're a Rouge fan, you are eating good today with using this mod. But that is my top 10 list for character mods alongside some honorary mentions inside of Shadow Generations. I would like to thank all the modders of the mods that I decided to use within my list today, as you guys have done such an incredible job, and I cannot wait to see what each of you create in the future for the other Sonic games or potentially even Shadow Generations. People like you guys are genuinely the reason on why I love Sonic so much, as it gives me so much replayability of playing these games, but also gives me the option to be able to play characters that aren't playable a lot in Sonic games. And genuinely, you guys just go above and beyond with each of these mods, pulling out stuff that I would never ever expect to see inside of a Sonic game, or let alone a mod. So genuinely, thank you for all the hard work that you guys truly do, as it is an absolute joy to download these mods and play through these games with them. And I'll go ahead and put in the description each of the mod creators that I featured inside of this video, so you can go ahead and check out or potentially even download another one of their mods or one of the mods that I featured inside of this video. But let me know if you guys would like to see more of these mod ranking videos, as this was a bunch of fun to make, being able to use all of these different mods. I could definitely make another video with going over like stage mods, potentially even different physics, the best way to be able to play Shadow Generations or any Sonic game, or potentially even looking at character mods in another Sonic game like Generations, Unleashed, Sonic Lost World, Mania, and the list goes on and on. But with all that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.